Yeah, so now when grandmother found out that my father has given his life to Jesus and he's supposed to go back to Mother Earth with sacrifice so that now he can be fully initiated into serving in the kingdom of darkness, grandmother decided to hate my dad with everything that she had. She felt like my dad had betrayed her. Mother Earth had given her whatever she had, and my dad had to just obey and go and do whatever she's requesting him to do with Mother Earth. So because of that, my grandmother decided to bewitch my dad so that whatever he does, he labors in vain. And even the job he got, because by then when he ran to Luero, he started working with an NGO and he got favored. And he also got a family that had adopted him, and life was beginning to make sense. So when my grandmother heard that he's now born again, he's working in a certain NGO, and there are some whites that have adopted him, and he's traveling, he's traveling, and things are okay. My grandmother decided to bewitch him, and my dad lost everything, including, including the family that had adopted him. He lost everything, and he went back to square one, like to a situation where my grandmother in the village is the provider. He's the one who is paying our rent, yet we are in town. But that now is before I was big. I was a baby by the time my grandmother ended everything that my dad had established. What I didn't understand is that now that my dad had upset her by giving his life to Christ, she went and spoke to Mother Earth and told Mother Earth that my son has given birth to a girl and I can give you that girl. Forget about that useless. Now he's useless. We can just cripple his finances and make him be like vagabond. No matter what he does, no matter what he says, nobody pays attention to him. In fact, my dad was looking like a madman.
An ex witch explained how her grandmother bewitched her successful father, turning him into a lunatic. This is actually crazy. Let's find out exactly what happened here.
So when my grandmother married into that polygamous family, she wanted
Mhm.
to have a son, because in Africa they believe that sons inherit the wealth. So she's married to this
Sure.
young, rich, successful, handsome man, and she's the most loved out of all the wives.
Mm.
But she doesn't have a son to inherit. So these other wives are using that against her, and she started now consulting and going to different shrines because she wanted to have children. She wanted to bear her husband, children. So yeah, she got my auntie after visiting shrines, and then she couldn't have children for some reason. She struggled to conceive again. So she was directed to go to a certain shrine that was on a certain hill it's in Jinja. And when she went to that shrine, it's in the way they constructed that shrine, there are graves. So she went and she entered into a covenant with some spirits. And one of the spirits that she entered into a covenant with is called Mother Earth. Many people hear that word Mother Earth, but they don't know, they don't understand what it's all about,
What is
because some people have no idea that life is spiritual. They just think, people just talk about things and they just let these things slide. So grandmother went and she consulted a spirit called Mother Earth. My grandmother used to open portals and travel in the spiritual realm and also transport spirits into the physical. She had gone so deep into witchcraft. So in this, when she visited this shrine,
So she was basically like Uber, but for spirits. I mean, that's a good analogy. Come on, that's a good analogy. Uber, but for spirits. It's a good analogy.
she performed rituals, and she was able to open a portal and as an usher that spirit called Mother Earth, when it shows up, because I saw it at some point when she was initiating me, it would come as a whirlwind, and then it would form into a very beautiful woman. And she would talk, she would talk to it, and this spirit would give her instructions on whatever it wanted her to do.
Okay.
So for me, at a later point, that spirit had instructed me to fight men, and to promote the LGBTQ agenda. So, but that was now for me later on. But now with my grandmother, as she's trying to get a son, she requested Mother Earth to give her a son so that she can be in a good position to also claim inheritance in case, the husband is no more, because she's in that family and she knows that the only person who loves her there is our grandfather.
Mm.
And Mother Earth entered into a covenant with my grandmother, and she told grandmother that all your children will be great. I'll make them great, but on one condition: when he turns 18, I want you to bring him back to me, and we enter into a covenant now with him also. So if he rebels and he doesn't come back to me, you have to bear the consequences. You know,
That sounds crazy. And this is how it becomes a generational cycle. Wow, my goodness.
you either lose him or he will lose you. One of you has to die for not coming back. Yeah. So now my grandmother had a task of raising her children in the ways of darkness. God wants us to raise our children in his ways,
Yes.
so that even when they grow, they will not depart from those ways. But in the kingdom of darkness, it's the other way around. They also start initiating their children from childhood.
Mm.
So all my father knew was the mother was a herbalist, because people would go to her, consult with her, those who had issues, and Mother Earth would give her instructions on which herbs she would administer to the patients. And she was doing well. She was having people like from different offices consulting with her, those who are looking for children and those who are looking for solutions, wives who want to bewitch their husbands to love them, and all those kinds of things.
I have a question about this, and I would love for someone to let me know what they think on this. So, when a spirit begins to give instructions on, so a person has a certain condition, but the instructions from the spirit are plant and herbs to go and solve the problem. When does something leave science and becomes spiritual, in the sense that it becomes demonic or heavenly? Meaning, let's say another person that has that same illness, sickness, or whatever, they go and ask the person who got healed and said, okay, how did you do it? Oh, we got these herbs and we mixed it together and I got healed so suddenly. Now, is that person doing that? Did they commit witchcraft? You see what I'm saying? The premise is, in this second scenario, it's not a spirit talking to them. It's someone giving instructions on how to blend herbs that will cause a fruition that sometimes will bring healing. Is that demonic inherently? And if that's the case, how do we look at medicine? Is the idea of pharmakia, the word that we see in witchcraft and how it's being used for, I believe it's medicine or doctor, something along those lines? How do we look at that? Where is the line here? I want to know what you guys think. Where is the line? Um, because I think that I'm perplexed on that, on the line, on the line.
Yeah, so when she entered into the covenant with Mother Earth, she went back to my grandfather and she conceived. My dad is named as a twin, but up to today we don't know who his other twin was. Either it was sacrificed, or either the twin was sacrificed. Nobody wants to talk about that. Even my dad, he's not comfortable because he doesn't know what could have happened to his twin. He's named as a twin, but there is no twin brother.
That is absolutely crazy. What does that even? Imagine you have two sons. One of them just goes missing. Yeah, they're just gone. You don't know where they went. No one's gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so now that's how my dad came into existence, through witchcraft.
Oh, okay. So that's
And
okay.
my dad says that growing up in a polygamous home is the worst thing that can ever happen to a child,
Why?
because there is, all this kind of bad energy, hatred, jealousy, envy, all those kinds of fights
Mm.
that
I don't really ever think about that side of the polygamous role. If you have three wives and so many kids are coming out of them, each mother has 8 children. That's 24 kids. Who's gonna inherit? Who's gonna inherit? And now the guy who's gonna inherit, the firstborn, everybody now hates that person. Okay, the husband, he's probably gonna be more interested in one wife over another. Now there's hatred and envy on that side. The kids, how do you treat 24 kids equally? I haven't really even thought about that on the polygamy. Man,
are traumatizing to a child. So yeah, now my dad, because of that, when he was an adolescent, like from 14, he
adolescent.
started drinking. He started, living like the people in the world, because he wanted to forget the pain. His father died when he was young, so life even became worse. It became hard, more difficult. Now he doesn't have a dad. The mother is deep into witchcraft, and he doesn't have anybody to talk to. So he decided to drink. He thought that by drinking he would forget the pain that he was going through, but instead
Mm.
it made his life worse. So he started also, because he was gifted, he would go and dance, and people would give him money, he would go act. And his talent, because of talent, he found himself going to school. He would get a bursary, a full bursary, because
What's a
of his gifts, and he would go to school, and that's how his life was until now. When he was approaching 18, he was now around 17, and he committed a crime that got him arrested. And when he was arrested, um, he had to sit for his final exams. The principal of that school convinced, he begged the president, who was, by then, it wasn't Museveni, it wasn't our president, but it was Idi Amin. So he convinced him to allow these children to at least do their final exams, even while they were in prison. So my dad, once they told them to put their pens down after he sat for his final exams, he jumped through the window and escaped. And that's how he escaped. That's how he escaped. That's how he escaped prison. And he ran into a certain politician's home. And from there, he went to a place called Luero, where he gave his life to Jesus.
what country did this happen in?
He got saved.
Wow.
Yeah, so now when grandmother found out that my father has given his life to Jesus, and he's supposed to go back to Mother Earth with sacrifice, so that now he can be fully initiated into serving in the kingdom of darkness, grandmother decided to hate my dad with everything that she had. She felt like my dad had betrayed her. Mother Earth had given her whatever she had, and my dad had to just obey and go and do whatever she's requesting him to do with Mother Earth. So because of that,
Yeah.
my grandmother decided to bewitch my dad, so that whatever he does, he labors in vain. And even the job he got, because by then when he ran to Luero, he started working with an NGO, and he got favored, and he also got a family that had adopted him, and life was beginning to make sense. So when my grandmother heard that he's now born again, he's working in a certain NGO, and there are some whites that have adopted him, and he's traveling, he's traveling, and things are okay. My grandmother decided to bewitch him, and my dad lost everything, including including the family that had adopted him. He lost everything, and he went back to square one, like to a situation where my grandmother in the village is the provider. He's the one who is paying our rent, yet we are in town. But that now is before I was big. I was a baby by the time my grandmother ended everything that my dad had established. So now, because of that, I became vulnerable to my grandmother. I got exposed because my parents were not in a position, even if they were born again, they were not in a good financial position to take care of me. So during holidays, they preferred to send me to my grandmother because my grandmother had food. She had she had the basics, shelter, good shelter. At least when I'm at her place, I don't get scared and traumatized when the landlord comes to demand for money, in town. So there, I'm with grandmother. We are eating well, good shelter. But what they did not understand is that when somebody is not saved, they can be used by the enemy to
Yeah.
destroy your child's life. It doesn't matter how related you are with that person. As long as they are not born again, they can sow evil seeds in your child. So seeds that you may not be able to take out of that child as a parent. We are supposed to train these children, because these children, they observe, they hear. Whatever you tell them to do is it's like you're programming them. So at my grandmother's place, now that's where my whole, like, my life was messed up. So at her place, where we would go to visit her, I'm sorry, let me first take some water. Mm.
Yes, no, take your time. Take your time.
Yeah, I thank God he healed me. Before, it would be difficult to share these experiences without crying, because
Wow.
it was painful. Yeah. So my grandmother, whenever I would visit her, I'm so excited. I'm going to visit grandmother, and she has painted an image of, I love my granddaughter, my only granddaughter. What I didn't understand is that now that my dad had upset her by giving his life to Christ, she went and spoke to Mother Earth and told Mother Earth that my son has given birth to a girl, and I can give you that girl. Forget about that useless. Now he's useless. We can just cripple his finances and make him be like vagabond. No matter what he does, no matter what he says, nobody pays attention to him. In fact, my dad was looking like a madman. He was always in torn and dirty clothes. He had been turned into a useless like person. With his education, he he had even lost esteem. So whenever now I would visit, I didn't know that now my grandmother has replaced me. Like, yes, my dad has to worship this God now. My grandmother has now given me to her God.
So she was the replacement. She was the replacement. That is crazy.
And also, the covenants that are running in the family are demanding that I also inherit my grandmother's witchcraft, because girls are supposed to serve the devil in the family. Now, innocently, whenever I would visit my grandmother, she would pretend like she's taking care of me, and to win my trust, she's combing my hair, she's taking me to bed, she's cleaning me, she's washing my clothes, she's even buying me new clothes. And I'm so comfortable. I'm now loving my grandmother. I feel like she's somebody I can confide in, somebody I can, relate with and tell my problems or challenges. But what I did not understand is that by cutting my hair, she was getting point of contacts.
Did her father know? that the mother was in witchcraft? He must not have known, or was he just not in a state to even do anything? I wonder about that. Because if he knows, he wouldn't bring her there. Even if she's rich, he wouldn't bring his daughter to witchcraft, right?
By cutting my nails, she was getting something that she can take to her altar and open up my life to the spiritual realm.
Whoa.
What I didn't understand is that sometimes she would come and tell me, I know, I love you so much, and I know that some of your relatives are not happy about that. So I want to give you protection. I want to insert this herb in your body, and this herb will protect you from your enemies. And then she would rub the herb in my hand until the herb disappears. And me, I'm thinking grandmother is protecting me. Then I would see her do things in the village that would make people get afraid of her. And I thought my grandmother is powerful. After all, people in the village respect her, they fear her. Things like, strange things like sometimes in the morning, I would like, she gets out, she would insist that she wants to sleep with me in the same room, and I would share the same bed with my grandmother. But never had I spent the whole night with her. She was always out, and then she comes back towards morning, and then she gets out again. So she was in and out of the room. So one time I followed her, and then I found uh, she was feeding some snakes. So I'm like, what is this?
Whoa.
My grandmother is, I want to shout. She's telling me, no, you don't have to shout. These are visitors. If if you shout, they will look at you like you want to harm them, and they will try to defend themselves. So if you see this kind of things here, just know that they are visitors. And the snakes there, the snakes I was seeing were not the normal snakes that people see. There is one particular snake that I used to always see. It was white, and it had those like, it had something soft at the middle all the way onto its head, like the way you see a cock.
Like a rooster, like the way a
Yes.
rooster has a.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and she would give it sometimes porridge, sometimes she would break eggs and give it, sometimes she would give it those small chicks, because she was rearing birds, and she had goats. So she would feed it with that. And yeah, life like that continued until one day my cousin sister told me that you were going to be eaten by a snake, and my auntie carried you out of that bedroom and she took you to her room, but those snakes had come to eat you. Then I saw them and I told her. So that's now when it dawned to me that, okay, these snakes are harmful, and grandmother has been telling me that these snakes cannot hurt me, and now they are coming into the bed. And that's why I woke up only to find myself in another room. So as I was crying, my dad came because he had come to check on us. It was during holidays. And that's how he phoned me crying. And he said, why are you crying? My grandmother tried to interfere with the conversation and, divert everything. But my dad kept on asking me why I was crying. And I told him there are some bad snakes in the bedroom that have come to eat me, and auntie has saved me from those bad snakes. The other ones don't bite, but these ones, my cousin said they had come to eat me. So my dad goes into the bedroom, and then he sees the snake. The other snake, I don't know how it escaped, but he was able to kill one. And after he killed that one snake, it did not sit right with my grandmother. She started cursing my dad. That's when I knew that whatever my dad was going through, my grandmother had a hand. And now she said, because you do not keep quiet, because you're this kind of person, because I'm open-minded.
God, I thought the snake, I thought it was like, I mean, I'm guessing it's a spirit, right? I thought it would leave. I thought it would go and like hide away and vanish, but no, they actually killed it. Wow.
My husband knows, I tell him everything,
Yes.
I'm a person who says, like, I don't I don't want the thing of holding, like if somebody has hurt me, I hold it, or somebody had
Yes.
blessed me, I don't tell them that I am blessed, you know. So
Right.
my grandmother bewitched me and I could not speak. I would see things, but even when I want to say, I could not say. I would just want to say, Daddy, there is a snake. And I just, and I can't say anything, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah, so life became so traumatizing. I'm seeing things, I cannot talk. Even when I go back home from holidays, I want to tell my parents. Whenever I try to open my mouth, I can't speak.
Are you able to write in letters? Type? How much are you restricted when this happens?
I'm getting frustrated. I tell my mom I don't want to go back to the village. For her, she thinks I'm trying to be proud, you know. Children go, they don't want to go to the village. You have to go and know your people. But I'm trying to
Yes.
avoid going back because of the things that are happening to me. Yeah,
Oh,
so
gee.
now I'm now going to go into some of the things that I cannot forget that I encountered while I was with my grandmother now.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So that's just a part. That is crazy. That is crazy. Okay. So, wow. Wow. It's a crazy testimony, guys. God bless you. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Ex witch exposes the family spell that turned her father from a rich man into a beggar in this video. Let's watch.